the thing that with Kansas City was I was looking at running back as far as like Spencer Ware. We knew Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, we knew those guys were going to be there, but no one saw Kareem Hunt coming out, having the game he had, and no one saw Alex Smith having the season that he had. So, things happen. The Raiders, they definitely, said Galloway, who's in the Wait a Minute Show chat room, he's a Raider fan. He said his Raiders suck. Yeah, they actually did suck. And unfortunately, you got guys like Marshawn and everything, and you really expected something big from, these guys, and they came up short, in a lot of games. And it was just like, kind of what was going on? Is Derek Carr still hurt? Is he regressing? I don't know, but it whatever it was, it got Jack Del Rio fired, and he got a new coach, in there. And now John Gruden is back. And side note, Sebastian Janikowski is not getting re-signed, so I guess John Gruden finally got rid of Sebastian Janikowski. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, he was on Monday night this past season. He was talking about how Sebastian Janikowski was struggling, when he had first got there, because he's been there. Janikowski's been there with the team for 18 years. So when he got there, he was struggling, and Gruden put him out there for like a 56, 57-yard field goal that he thought he was going to make so he could cut him. And Janikowski made it, and lo and behold, he's been around for 18 years. So now Gruden finally is getting rid of Sebastian Janikowski at this point. But that's how it played out. I was right a little bit, but I was wrong a lot, on that. Then I went over to the AFC South, which was the Colts, Jags, Titans, and the Houston Texans. So I put the Titans actually finishing last. Well, that was my first mistake. Colts third, Jags second, and Houston number one. And how it actually played out, Houston was dead last. And we all know pretty much what it was. They lost guy after guy after guy. You lose J.J. Watt, you lose, Merciless, you lose Deshaun Watson, who was going to be, obviously a big difference maker on that team. And injuries, happen. So Houston finished last, Indianapolis third, and I had them, in third place. Because I really didn't know where this whole thing was going to go with Andrew Luck. And actually, he didn't play, so it showed up. Second place was the Tennessee Titans. They had a really good year. Mariota did pretty good. And the Jacksonville Jaguars finished first in the division. So I had them at number 2. I thought they were a year away from really doing something, but they surprised me this year and actually won the division. Well, not a surprise. I just thought there were going to be games that Blake Bortles was going to be in, and maybe he cost them the game, or maybe just couldn't, pull it out. And you got to give Jacksonville credit. They went through, and especially Blake Bortles, you got to give them credit. They went through basically having no Allen Robinson and no Allen Hurns. Your two starting wide receivers. Allen Robinson was out for the entire year. Allen Hurns didn't play the entire year. So you got to give them credit. They did a good job. AFC East, no surprise here. The Jets I had last. I had Buffalo third, Miami second, because I booked them for 11-5. That was crazy of me. And of course, New England was number 1. So it actually played out. The Jets was last. Miami finished third instead of second. Buffalo got in by the skin of their teeth in the playoffs, but they had a better season than they did the previous year. They finished second, and New England won. No one is surprised by that New England finished first. They have dominated this division for years and years and years before, and they'll probably still do it for a few more years. These other teams are still just playing catch-up. So you can pretty much put them wherever you want, and they're just going to, be following behind New England. So it really doesn't, matter at this point. AFC North was very interesting. My predictions, let me tell you who's in the AFC North for those people that don't know. But you have the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, and you have the Bengals. So I picked it. Cleveland would finish last. Cincy would finish third. Baltimore second, and Pittsburgh would win the division. So this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, it played out. Cleveland last, Cincy third, Baltimore second, Pittsburgh won the division. Give your boy credit, 100% in that division. Got that thing right. No one was surprised by Cleveland. The only thing I was really surprised by Cleveland is that they didn't win any games. They were in a lot of games to win, and they just could not get it done. So you never want anyone to go winless in any league, but it happened. Cincy took a step back. That's what I thought they would do. They still had questions at the running back. Joe Mixon was playing and he wasn't playing. John Ross didn't play at wide receiver. Vontaze Burfict was, suspended. So you always had stuff that was going on, with Cincy, and they took a step back. Baltimore finished second. I can't believe Baltimore actually lost that game against Cincinnati that would have got them into the playoffs. So they struggle, and Joe Flacco has struggled mightily, and they are in need of some type of change. I don't know what change it is. I'm not saying that you got to change the quarterback, but you got to change something, because Joe Flacco is not getting it done now, and I think he would be the first one to say so, but I don't know if it's time for a quarterback change. And Pittsburgh took the division, dominated like they always did. Guys stepped up. Antonio Brown, before he got injured, he was having an MVP season. Juju Smith-Schuster stepped up. So you had guy after guy, and you had the Norm, Big Ben, Le'Veon, and all those boys, and Martavis Bryant, stepping up. So they won the division. So no surprise there. So that's all the AFC. So I got that right, but I still struggle with some of the other divisions. But hey, you can't foresee injuries and and all that stuff. So that plays a part in how the division plays out. So now we're going to touch base on the NFC. And stay tuned, because in 8 minutes we're going to have Eagles superfan Gerard Timms on here to tell his story. I think you'll be interested in it. But the NFC West. Teams are the Rams, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the 49ers. So how I picked it out was San Francisco would be last, the Rams would be third, the Cardinals would be second, and Seattle would win the division. How it actually played out, 49ers was last, but the Cardinals finished third, Seattle finished second, and the Rams finished in first place in that division. So I don't care what anybody say. Nobody saw the Los Angeles Rams finishing in first place with a new coach, new wide receivers, a quarterback who had only had 7 games under his belt, and a guy in Todd Gurley that had a bad season the previous year coming in, and all three. You got Aaron Donald, who was in a contract dispute, but he won Defensive Player of the Year. Todd Gurley won Offensive Player of the Year. McVay won Coach of the Year. I mean, I think Jared Goff might have won Most Improved Player. So, I mean, that turnaround was so quick, which gives other teams hope that, hey, you can turn it around, pretty quick, as long as everybody gets on the same page. So San Francisco probably could have been even better and not finished last if Jimmy Garoppolo had been there earlier, or they played him earlier. Arizona lost Carson Palmer and David Johnson, so that hurt their team. They took a step back. In Seattle, now all the injuries are starting to pile up. Now you got guys that's in their contracts. It's not the same Seattle Seahawks where, you had all those guys like Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, you had them on, even Russell Wilson, you had them all on those rookie, deals, and then you only had people here and there that you had to pay. So that is finally coming, to the forefront, and you got to make those decisions and make moves, and it just didn't happen. So Seattle took a step back. They still finished second, but their window might be closed, and they may have to start, retooling, And Sid Galloway said in the chat room, amazing what happens when you get a real coach for the Rams. Yeah, it just when the coach changed the philosophy and actually the culture, good things happen. And I'm not knocking Jeff Fisher. I know a lot of people don't like Jeff Fisher, but it looks like it was time for a change. In LA. With all these guys, making a difference. So NFC East, you got the Washington football team, you got the Eagles, you got the Cowboys, and you got the Giants. So I said Washington would finish last. Philly would be third. I know Philly fans are upset with me about that. Dallas would be second, and the Giants would win the division. So obviously that did not play out the way it did. The Giants finished dead last. Washington was in third place, so they still didn't have a great season. So I did okay there. I picked Dallas to finish second, which they did. I told everyone. I said Dallas is not winning double-digit wins. It's not getting double-digit wins this year. They're going to take a step back. Dak is going to come back to reality. I mean, look, he was a rookie quarterback. It's hard what he was trying to match. That is hard to replicate. He did an awesome job his rookie year, but that's a lot to be asking of that gentleman to be doing it, and especially with Zeke missing the 6 games. You got Zeke, he is playing, he's not playing. He is playing, he's not playing, and all that stuff. And that wears on the team. So for them to still finish second in that division, that still was good, but it was a distant second because the Philadelphia Eagles were beasting folks all year. And if Carson Wentz doesn't get hurt, he would have been MVP. I truly believe that. But you got guys that were on that team. I've talked about it before with the Eagles that nobody wanted or nobody really wanted to pay. And they all contributed to that team. And they are the Super Bowl champs. But they dominated and they actually finished first overall in the NFC North. I mean, in the NFC conference. The Philadelphia Eagles. So, hey, I had them third. They finished first. I got to eat some crow on that. And when it's time to pick divisions again, we'll see who I pick, with these folks. So it's 2 more divisions left. We're almost at that 9:30 hour. We're going to talk with superfan Gerard Timms, the Eagles fan. I think y'all will be interested in hearing his story. But the NFC North, it was Lions, Vikings, Bears, and Packers. So my prediction was Chicago will finish 4th, Minnesota will be 3rd, Detroit will be 2nd, and Green Bay will win the division. And it actually played out. Chicago did finish last. Green Bay finished 3rd. Detroit still finished 2nd, so I was right with that. But you got to swap in 3rd and 1st place. It was Minnesota. No one saw losing Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater not playing, and Case Keenum coming in the way he did. He did an excellent job. Aaron Rodgers get hurt for the year. That definitely affects your chances of winning the division. That's all that needs to be said. In Detroit, again, they finished 2nd. They did not back into the playoffs like they did last year. They lost a game to Cincinnati that they should not have lost, and the problem still persists with the running game. So until they get that fixed, they're going to always be in that probably 3rd to 2nd, finishing in the division, and it'll still be Minnesota because they got awesome defense, or the Packers because they got Aaron Rodgers. So there's nothing that you can do about that. Last but not least is the NFC South. You have the Falcons, you have the Panthers, you have the Saints, and you have the Buccaneers. And the thing about that, well, all 3 out of the 4 teams got to the playoffs. So that was just amazing in itself for that to happen. But I had the Saints finishing 4th, dead last. I had the Panthers 3rd, Atlanta 2nd, and I had Tampa Bay finishing 1st and winning division. And this is how it really played out. Tampa totally made me look like a fool. They finished last place. Atlanta finished 3rd. Carolina finished 2nd, and New Orleans took the division. And hey, who would have thought that Sean Payton would have went to a running game with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara? Nobody saw that happening. Alvin Kamara was balling. And Tampa, you get Deshaun Jackson. They drafted O.J. Howard. You really thought they were going to do some stuff, and things didn't work out. Atlanta went back to struggling, losing leads or playing poorly at home. And the Panthers looked like they were making moves, in the division. They finished 2nd, but it seems like they're still kind of in that whole transition phase, if you will, of trying to figure out where they're going to go. They traded Kelvin Benjamin, and then now you got, Christian McCaffrey. I think you need another, running back. But, hey, New Orleans won it. I got to give them credit. They did it the right way. Their defense was a lot better because their defense was horrible the season before. So you got to give them credit with drafting guys like Marshawn Lattimore. And then the previous year, they drafted on offense Michael Thomas. They got rid of Brandon Cooks for Michael Thomas. And, you were just thinking like, oh, my God, are you serious? And it worked out, better